What's up, beautiful people? In today's video I'm going to explain how learning to listen at 2.5x speed has saved me at least 1 hour every day now that I'm studying for my final high school exams. So if you're interested in studying less time but still retaining the same information, keep watching. The first thing is that if you spend most of your time studying with tutorials, then this is obviously going to have more of an impact on you as it would if you're spending most of your study time with textbooks, for example. For me personally, I've noticed that especially for math, I need a lot of extra explanation, and for that I use YouTube tutorials. This has honestly saved me at least 1 hour every day the last few weeks where I've been studying quite a lot for my final exams. First, I wanted to quickly explain why you would want to listen to things at 2.5x speed or even more, and then I will get into how you actually do it. Why you would want to do this is pretty simple, at least to me. If you spend a lot of your time studying with YouTube tutorials, for example, or listening to lectures, then this hack can honestly save you a lot of time, because just imagine if a lecture or a tutorial lasts 1 hour and all of a sudden you're able to listen to it at 2.5x speed, then that simple thing leads to it not even taking up half an hour of your time instead of an hour. So the most simple reason as to why you would want to do this is to save time. The counter argument that I've heard the most is that if you listen to things faster, you won't be able to retain as much of the information. But for me personally, I have noticed that as long as it's still at a speed where you can fully understand what is being said, then it has no influence whatsoever on my ability to actually remember the information that I just heard. So for me, it hasn't had any negative impact on my retention. That's just something that I wanted to get out there. Now, as to how you do this. How I started is using the YouTube speed regulator, which you can put in slow motion, which is obviously not what we're going to do here, but you can put it at 1.25x speed, 1.5, 1.75 and 2. 2 is the max. I started with just listening to things at 1.25x speed, then after a few days I moved to 1.5, then about a week to 2 weeks later I moved to 1.75x. And the hardest step for me to take was to go from 1.75x to 2x. That just felt like a really big jump for me, and I noticed that I wasn't able to understand everything when I first moved to 2x speed. So that is something that can absolutely happen, and it is no problem if it takes you way longer than me or way shorter. It just really depends on how good you are at processing things at way faster speeds and how quick you can adjust to this faster pace. As I said, YouTube and most other apps, for example, if you listen to podcasts a lot, then most podcast apps also have a maximum of 2.5x speed. When you've reached that, great, you're already well on your way and you've already saved quite a lot of your time. If you want to keep increasing your listening speed, I would recommend downloading a Google Chrome extension which is called Video Speed Controller, and if you use Safari or any other apps, then I'm sure you can find something that does the same thing for that browser. But the thing that Video Speed Controller does is it allows you to increase your speed with smaller increments. For example, I put the settings of my Video Speed Controller on me being able to control the speed by 0.1 increments, and I now usually listen to things between 2.5 and 3.2x speed, and that solely depends on whether I'm listening in English, which I can fluently speak and I'm very comfortable with, but it's not my native language, or Dutch, which is my native language, because I have noticed that I can listen to Dutch at 3.2x speed approximately, and English is usually between 2.5 and 2.7x speed. And if I speed it up more, then I'm just not really able to understand everything that's being said. So I've just accepted that that is my boundary, and if in the future I'm able to move up even more, then I will obviously do that, but I'm totally fine with where I am right now. And honestly, after having watched countless hours of math tutorials the last few weeks at 3.2x speed instead of 1, I don't even know how much time I saved, but as the title said, I can safely assume that it's been at least 1 hour every day. So yeah, it has really had a big impact on my life. So you can start as well simply by just using the built-in features that YouTube has and most podcasts apps have as well, and just start kind of playing around with these speed increments and see what works best for you. I would recommend that you stop increasing your speed at the point where you're able to grasp 95% of what's being said, because if you're able to understand 100%, then that is kind of a message that you can increase it a little bit more. And if you're still in the 1 to 2x speed range, then it could also be beneficial to download a speed controller extension, because it allows you to increase the speed in smaller increments. So for example, if you notice that 1.5x you can understand everything, and at 1.75x you're able to understand about 50 to 70%, you could try to use this extension and put it at 1.6x speed or something, because that will probably already help quite a bit. If you don't want to install an extension, then obviously that's fine, but you'll have to realize that most of the time you'll be stopped at 2x speed, which is still a time saver, but it could be more if you want to. So, and the reason that I say that you should try to aim a little bit above your current level is that it just inspires growth. If you can already understand everything, then your brain doesn't really have to work for it anymore, and therefore your ability to listen to faster speeds won't really improve anymore. So just aim for small improvement every week and you'll be at 2.x or even higher in no time. One downside that I do want to discuss is, after you've gotten in the habit of listening to things at 2.5x speed or above, or even 2x speed, having to listen to something in normal speed is quite tedious. It is honestly something I really had to get used to. For example, when I just watched math tutorials and I have a break and I want to watch something on Netflix, for example, if you then go back to 1x speed, it truly feels like they're speaking in slow motion, and it can be really, really boring. So at this moment I also use my speed controller extension on Netflix as well. So it doesn't really have to be a problem, but it is something that I noticed that was quite strange, because you know that people are just talking in a normal pace, but all of a sudden it feels like it's slowed down for you. But a benefit of that, on the other hand, is that if you have listening tests on foreign languages at your school or something, it's honestly amazing, because it feels like everything is spoken in slow motion. It feels like you have way more time to process what they're actually saying, because you've gotten so used to them talking slow. This feels like slow motion, and boom, higher grades. Well, it's not that easy, but I have really noticed that with my German listening tests and even English listening tests, it has gotten way easier, simply because it feels like I'm able to kind of take a step back and really observe what I'm hearing and think about it more before I have to move on to the next question. If this video was helpful to you, please like it. If you want to see more of my videos, consider subscribing. And if you want any other study tips, I have loads of videos about that on this channel as well. So just take a look at my channel page and find the next video you want to watch.